Welcome, everybody, down to the Neighbor Star League here in the Match1 Arena live. Coming to you, it is 7 o'clock in Korea, and the Starcraft continues. I know you guys, some of you guys out there have been watching I Am Taipei. You're coming over to this.
I have been watching I Am Taipei all day long, Valdez, as well as yesterday, and man, I am loving it so much. So great to see Maynard out there again. And Todd, and obviously Apollo and Caleris. They're all doing a great job. I miss those guys a lot.
Yeah, a lot of cool games as well. Some base trades I saw up there on Reddit. Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of crazy games, especially today. Some great PvPs, and I'm very excited as we go into today as well. I mean, potential PvPs, but we're firstly going to be starting off with Deer versus GuMiho, which is in itself going to be a very exciting match. See if Deer can have some redemption after some horrible few matches this week, especially.
Yeah, if he goes down this week, it's going to be really hard to pick himself back up, you know, because like you said, he's going on like a kind of, not a losing streak, but he's just not getting the results that he wants. And so if he can end the week on this note, like on a good note, getting at least out of the round of 16 here in the Neighbor Star League, that would be great for him. But of course, he's got a lot of different names in his way. He was talking about there in the video about GuMiho, who he seems to lose to a lot on online tournaments, which is something that's not out in the open. You know, if you search it online, you can say, oh, wow, he actually loses to GuMiho a lot in online tournaments. But it seems like at the same time, Rogue is pretty confident that himself and Deer will get out of the group instead of GuMiho.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it on paper, and just like in my general thoughts, I feel like Deer as well as Rogue definitely have the advantage getting out of this. But if Deer keeps playing the way he has been this week, I mean, GuMiho definitely has an opening. And we haven't seen much of GuMiho in any sort of recent sort of LAN matches because he just hasn't been in any. He's been waiting a long time for the Star League match. He isn't in GSL. He lost a life in the round of 32, I believe, 2 times. And besides that, yeah, he just hasn't been in Pro League, obviously, or anything like that. Just constant online presence.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you come down to the arena, actually, you can get a bunch of different stuff here. We do have some WoW gifts, World of Warcraft, some mouse pads, a headset. We got 24 of those, as well as a bunch of other stuff. I saw like some drinks down there as well. I think they're pretty free.
Yeah, I believe they have giveaways at the end of after every show.
Yeah.
Here in the Nexon Arena. It doesn't matter on what day, I believe. It's Star League as well, as you can see. Yeah, it looks like mouse pads and WoW stuff if you want it, and headsets. All the good stuff here, Valdez.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't come down to Korea yet, I would definitely recommend. We have a ton of StarCraft happening every night of the week. And just going into the round of 16 brackets, the results that we have so far, Lenok not doing so well over in Taipei, but at least he got out of Group A in first place. Him and Super will get out of that group. And then for Group B, we do have Stats and Life getting out of that one. Life just barely getting out of it, just doing a bunch of speedling all-ins against a couple of Protosses, and was able to make it.
Yeah, he definitely cheesed his way out of that mess. And as for the last remaining 2 groups, Group C and Group D, we do have Deer, GuMiho, Rogue, and Myungshik today. And then next week, we will have TY, Dark, Dream, and Maru play it off to get out of the last group in the Star League. And man, what a group that's going to be as well.
Yeah, Group D is 100% the group of death. I mean, the Group B was also quite good, but just looking at Group D is insane. I mean, TY is probably the weakest player. Maybe Dream, I guess. They're pretty close, I'd say. I mean, Dream has been showing a lot of good play as well, but he's kind of newer. I feel like TY definitely has a ton more experience. But Dark as well, he's just playing so well that people are beginning to call him one of the best Zergs in the world. And Maru, of course, is Maru, one of the best Terrans in the world, if not the best out here in Korea. So an incredible group there.
That'll really be a big test for Dark in his kind of unique style in ZVT. And also a big sort of test for Dream as in a different matchup, not a TVZ, which is obviously the most comfortable in.
Yeah, and going back into today's group, Group C, we do have Deer versus GuMiho coming up first, and then we have Rogue versus Myungshik. The player we haven't talked about much in this group actually is Myungshik, because I think you feel the same way as I do in saying that he's definitely the underdog here, and he's just not been playing too well. I mean, he was able to defeat Rogue just recently in Pro League with a really interesting 6-gate Oracle all-in timing on 2 bases.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, just looking at the group, I don't really see him getting out of this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a very hard one. Let's see if he's got any more tools in his up his sleeve, and tricks up his sleeve to kind of surprise Rogue with, because I think he's going to need that if he wants to take down Rogue again. Obviously, Rogue was very visibly upset after losing to Myungshik in Pro League. something that he just would never expect. But, you know, Myungshik is dangerous. He can be dangerous. He's got great planning, which is one of his strongest suits. Just everything else is kind of just at a lower tier compared to some of the other top Protosses.
Yeah, and I kind of fear for him here, especially because it's best of threes. So even if he can cheese Rogue out in one game, he's got to win another one. It's not going to be as easy. I feel like Rogue's just got to be careful of Myungshik and just make sure that he plays a little bit safer, and I feel like he should be okay. And Myungshik, even if he wins or loses, he's got to go up against either another Protoss and Deer and then another Terran in GuMiho, and those are both some really strong opponents as well, so it's going to be hard for him, definitely.
Yeah, they are very strong opponents. Maybe his best sort of chance is going up against Deer at this point. I'm not entirely sure. Speaking of the Devil, here he is. Deer, obviously not playing too well in recent times, getting knocked out at GSL only yesterday, and on Tuesday, losing his match against Myungshik. Sorry. Yes, no. I'm thinking of Rogue in that.
Yeah.
He lost against someone else.
Dark. Right?
Yes.
He lost to Dark in Pro League as well as in GSL, so it was a lot to handle for this guy. He's definitely not happy with Dark these days. But here on screen, we do see his round of 32 results. He was able to defeat Patience, actually, at a PvP. And I believe this one was quite one-sided, actually. Deer played quite well and was able to take it.
Yeah, very convincing victory to get him here. Let's see if he can repeat it. Beautiful force field there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not showing the best games this week. Let's see if he can put the losses behind him there. Coming into today, his last chance in an individual league for this season at least.
I wonder if he's actually scared of going up against Rogue. Because, you know, going down to Dark twice in a row, like on 2 separate days in multiple games, maybe he's just not having fun with that matchup. We saw he was 3-7 actually in his recent 10 games. And Rogue is definitely another really strong Zerg player, but we'll have to wait and see if Rogue can make it, if Deer can make it, or how that lines up. And over here on the other side is actually GuMiho. We're seeing his versus Protoss win ratio is 90% in the most recent 10 games. I'm not sure if that counts online tournaments.
I'm thinking it might do if it's going to be that kind of record. He's been playing just about nothing but online tournaments in recent times. When I looked at his statistics in Aligalak, it was literally like 5 Lei Fang Cups in a row before like his Star League ladder, his Star League Challenger match. So this is how much this guy just plays online, which is good. I mean, it's great for practice, and it's good to always practice the competition matches, but still, like, you're kind of giving away everything you're going to be planning to do in real competitions and LAN. And I mean, it's just a lot of exposure that for a little reward, like a couple of $100 at most. It's never really worth it, I feel, compared to like doing well in one of these tournaments.
Well, we're getting a look at his best of 5 here against SkyHigh. SkyHigh very famously good at TVT, but GuMiho was able to somehow break through that and make it to the round of 16 here.
And defeating him 3-2 in a massive slug match. It's that is a huge achievement in itself as well.
That was a great series, actually. I remember that one. So back and forth. I believe that's for Deer. Little sign there, fan sign cheering. And I'm just excited to get into this game, man. We've been having so much Starcraft these days. And I guess let's go first into the maps that have been banned and picked. So Deer bans Nimbus, not very surprising, banning Merry-Go-Round as well. And GuMiho does go with the Deadwing ban, makes sense, as well as Foxtrot Laps.
Yep, they all just make sense for the race and what they want to play at. And King Sejong to start things off, obviously probably the most common TVP map we usually see these days. Great for drops, great for defending, getting the 3 base for Protoss. And then for Catalina, you know, another one of those kind of maps, good for drops, kind of good for Blinkstalkers. And then Overgrowth to finish things off.
What do you think about Deer banning out Merry-Go-Round instead of Catalina? Because we've seen a lot of Protoss players just banning Nimbus and Catalina against Stern players.
Yeah, that is true. I think it comes down to personal preference. And I mean, Catalina is obviously going to be trouble against sort of drops more than anything else, but you can kind of play similarly to King Sejong, where you go for Blinkstalkers, you play that defensive style. You can counterattack with Blinkstalkers and apply a lot of pressure to the Terran. I guess it just depends on the player as well.
Speaking of that style, I actually love that style, the safe blink to the Robo. I hope we see some of that out of Deer here, because GuMiho is the fierce opponent. But guys, we're about to jump into Match 1, Set 1, game number 1 here between Deer and GuMiho. It's going to be on King Sejong Station for the Naver Star League. Let's jump into the game. down here in the bottom right in the red, the Protoss player today, it is Deer. Part of Samsung Galaxy Con.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Moonglade.
And up here to the top left, we do have the player GuMiho, an old school player in Starcraft 2 days. He's been around since the start. Got a big name for himself back in Wings of Liberty. Oh, hello.
Hello. Got some fans of the audience from all over the place.
GuMiho is part of Invasion Esports. And something to note, just from watching Deer play his PvT yesterday, he was actually quite aggressive, Valdez. In Game 1, we did see him go for kind of like a stalker, sort of stalker rush. I wouldn't say timing because I don't want to be caught out on that.
You don't want to piss off Artosis.
I don't want to get caught out on that just yet, but it was definitely a stalker rush. Game 2 was a DT rush. And then, you know, like an Oracle opening into a proxy pylon in Game 3. So he really wanted to kill MMA nice and quick. Didn't want to get into that mid to late game against someone who was so good at multi-pronged drops and the like, which is kind of similar to how GuMiho plays. He is fantastic at dropping, fantastic at multitasking. Is definitely, whenever I think of GuMiho, I think of the multi-pronged drops he can do.
Yeah, whenever I think of him, I think of course, MMA, like you were talking about. I also think of TY, just these players that like to manipulate the game to their liking. Just get the other player on the defensive, always defending, and then just, like, use that slow, you know, rolling advantage from there to just try to win the game. But I wonder if Deer, you know, after it didn't quite work against MMA, his play, just barely, I wonder if he's going to do the kind of same style here.
Well, already? It seems unlikely. Seems like it's going to be a one gas expand. Probe kind of in position for it. Making that Zealot going to be canceled at the last second in case, unless there is an engineering bay, and then he will send it down. They won't be though. Simply an SCV scout.
Yeah, he's going to come in, scout just the one gas expand, like you were saying. I'm going to see the second gas come down now.
And you know what? We are seeing GuMiho play very safe, checking all proxies with this Reaper before anything else. So he looked at yesterday's matches in GSL and he's like, okay, he is being very aggressive. I gotta play a little bit more defensively, especially with my Reaper early on.
Especially on King Stage Station. You know, a map like King Stage Station as well as Foxtrot Labs, a couple of these maps that just have so many different locations for proxies. Definitely with that Reaper, you want to scout everywhere. He actually hasn't gone, like, everywhere. He's gone into a lot of different places, but may want to scout that out. I think just for now, because that SCV pretty much saw the entire base and saw that nothing weird's going on, he just went back to defend against the probe first. Now he's going to send that on its way.
Yeah, important to find that for sure. And I mean, yeah, that SCV did scout pretty much everything he needed to. He knew it was a one gas, so no doubt going to be expand behind that. We do see a Stalker out in good timing as well as the Mothership Core. Stalker should deflect the Reaper, but the Reaper does scout the Robo facility. So a very comfortable scout there, just jumping up the ramp.
That Robo facility is, like, in the perfect spot. He's just, like, putting it right up there at the ramp. He's like, hey, here, I'm making a Robo. Please scout this. Like, he is not scared of that getting scouted at all.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm kind of curious why he would put it there of all places. And it's interesting to see a Robo so early instead of, for instance, a Twilight. Normally you'd see a lot of Protosses on this map especially go for that Twilight early Blink Stalker pressure / defend into a little bit more of a delayed Robo and then a Forge after that. But we're going straight into the Robo, into Forge, and a very early Observer out in the map.
Yeah, just for now the Protoss build is just quite safe. He's going to get like 2 or 3 Observers out.
Ooh.
Just try to get those upgrades out. He's not quite going as greedy as 2 Forges just yet.
Here comes the big move from GuMiho already. That double Hellion with Reaper, not committing though. Usually we'll see some kind of run by an attempt to kill a lot of probes. Obviously with that combination you can one-shot a probe, and obviously if 2 Hellions can line up enough probes they can get 2 shots in and wipe out a lot. But 2 Stalkers in position, Mothership Core caught up in time.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just poking at the front to try to get Deer thinking and say like, hey, I got to be careful of stuff coming in my front. I already see 2 Hellions. Just let's make sure that he's not going to get me at my front. So he's going to keep the Stalkers in the front And this medevac with double Widow Mine and 4 Marines could definitely come in the back if Deer's not paying attention and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, but I mean, look what Deer has already. He's got a cannon in each mineral line. So, like, he is already well aware of exactly how GuMiho is going to go about this. He knows what he loves to do, and it's going to be that mine drop with Marines. But what is he going to do when there's a cannon already in place?
And a couple of Stalkers.
Yeah.
There's actually nothing that he can do. He's going to have to boost out. He may want to try the natural, but he's going to see a cannon there as well as 3 Stalkers and even an Observer. So he's just going to back off. Drop doing 0 damage.
0 damage. It's essentially Deer completely playing the opponent because we did not see Deer play anything like this yesterday.
Yeah, now after deflecting that, going to go straight into the Robotics Bay. Going to try to get out those Colossi. Just stay on 2 base for a while, get his upgrades, get his tech up, and do that kind of thing. See this kind of very safe style out of Protoss quite often.
I definitely love this kind of style, especially on this map. My favorite player to kind of do this similar sort of style, except with earlier Blink, is CJ Hero, who is still playing in Taipei at this moment in time. But yeah, he's the one that like really caught my eye with this style. Just playing super defensive, getting the Colossi, getting the upgrades early enough, and then going to a bit later third base, but just being completely rock solid against any of these drops.
Yeah, another Protoss player who's good at this style is Rain. I actually didn't get to see any of his games at Taipei, but I know just back in the day when he used to play a lot in Pro League especially, he used to go for this style quite often. Rain, known as a very super safe Protoss, so it makes sense. Wouldn't mind doing 0 damage, killing a Marine as well.
Yeah, actually Harstam took a game off Rain today, so very exciting times for the foreign fans. Fortunately, couldn't follow it up, but it was very close.
So one thing we didn't mention just yet is tanks coming out of GuMiho. He's getting Vikings, of course, for the Colossi coming his way, but he's also got 1 tank. He's making another.
It's actually a really good point, Valdez. I did not call that out at all. It's actually a really big deal, and I feel like we should see an attempt behind the debris at the natural of Deer, but Deer is already cleaning it out. Is this Deer reading even more into his opponent? Because it could be. We'll wait and see where GuMiho is going to go with this army, but there isn't that much utilization for tanks in this matchup. It's simply they're just not that good at it. Usually you just see a lot of bio with etc. with Ghosts and Vikings.
He's just going to stop at 2 and do exactly what you were talking about before. He's got Widow Mines in the mix as well. And I think Deer was able to see the factory with the tech lab with his Observer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that would definitely tip him off, and that would make sense why he was killing the debris in the back.
Yeah, you're definitely right there, Valdez. He did see it. And we are seeing GuMiho go far right.
That bear almost died. Did you see that?
No, I missed that. Thank goodness. That would have been horrific.
It was quite scary.
Man, I mean, the War Prism also sees exactly where the army is. Knows exactly what's going on. Like, okay, this is the army you got. He moves everything back to Colossi with a sizable gateway army. Third one almost out.
Yeah, Observer sees everything as well. A scan going to come out of GuMiho and even catches an Observer over here. Does not catch that other one. Deer being so safe, he's got double Observer in the same place.
GuMiho sees that there's no debris. He's like, okay, I can't deal with this. He goes home. He changes his plan already. Deer has read him like a book. This is the problem with playing too much online. They'll know what you do. It's like GuMiho is going to move back, but that is so many Colossi with a sizable gateway force.
Oh, I don't think that GuMiho can actually attack into this. These Colossi are doing so much damage. He's got a really nice gateway army as well. And those tanks are focusing down the Colossi in the back. But all the tanks have been cleaned up except 1 in the back. And another warp in maybe. He might not even need it. He's just going to totally clean this up. And GuMiho's on the run.
Yeah, that was a very swift cleanup. Deer more than prepared for it. Didn't even have to have his Mothership Core in the fight. Simply left it between the main and natural. Double upgrades going at the same time. And that third is completely saturated. But granted, so is GuMiho's.
I don't know. This is just looking so good for Deer more and more. Like, even our Observer is showing us the upgrades right now. He's got 1-1 over nothing of the GuMiho, and GuMiho is only getting the +1 attack right now. He's only adding a second engineering bang now. It's, like, super late. He's got that armory on the way as well, but we got 2-2 almost finishing up here for Deer.
Deer definitely posturing up for a very strong late game. He's definitely got a lot of room to attack at any time he wants because he does have that solid upgrade advantage. It's going to last for at least the next 5 minutes. It's just ridiculous. And yeah, he is going to get 3-3, no doubt about that, very shortly, which is going to make it almost impossible for GuMiho to engage into this decently at the very least.
Yeah. We see Deer actually stopping at only 2 Colossi. He's pretty much transitioned into Storm. I'm not sure if that's upgraded just yet. He does have the Templar Archives, and he has made 1 Archon. But after the 2 Colossi, he made 2 Immortals. He's getting a 3rd one as well. I think he's just trying to tailor his army kind of to be better against the tanks, get the Immortals in the front to tank all that damage. But as we see out of GuMiho's army, I think he has not added any more tanks. He's just got 1.
Yeah, ooh, Widowmine shot onto the Warp Prism into the main base. Going to get a nice drop-off. No turret to slow this down any further. And he's going to get some nice SCV kills.
Yeah, nice focus here on the SCVs, actually. With the charge on the Zealots as well, they're really fast, and already 6 SCVs going down. Unfortunately, the Warp Prism will go down as well, but just doing some minor damage to the economy in the main. We got another 4 Zealots running towards the 3rd while he takes his 4th base over here.
I really like what Deer is doing. He's in complete control, going for that Zealot Immortal Archon. After showing his Colossi early enough, so obviously GuMiho investing a lot into Vikings, going to be like, okay, I'm going to be ready for this composition, but it's going to be a composition he is not ready for. He's going to wish he had Ghosts for this army.
Ooh, even hiding his army composition right now from that SCV. Even that Archon pretty much on the back, just killing it with 1 Zealot. Now GuMiho moving most of his army over towards the right. This may give Deer an opportunity here to get in a good position down this ramp.
It looks like GuMiho is going to be waiting at the bottom, but will that even be enough? It is such a hard army to deal with. I mean, +3 armor is seconds away from finishing. 10 seconds to go.
I think he should just wait for that, actually.
He should wait for it. Maybe he hasn't realized yet.
Okay, there we go. It has finished, and now he pushes forward. That tank not even getting 1 shot off. All those Vikings in the north against only 2 Colossi. But then again, the Colossi not doing much damage, and this is a huge ball of bio. It's actually going to push Deer back up that ramp.
Yeah, it is a huge bio ball, that's for sure. And I mean, they find a bit more damage. Luckily, though, Deer did kind of regroup. And whenever they fight in the open field, I feel like Deer is just going to steamroll this, especially with more Zealots and Archons joining the army.
Yeah. Just got to get another Warp in here. And not even going for Storm still. It's just this very tanky army here. +3 is about to finish now on the attack. Although +2 has finished here for GuMiho as well. And Deer moving back in for the attack. Widowmine's only hitting that 1 Stalker in the front. Not getting the best shots on any Zealots. The Zealots are pretty trapped, actually, behind this army just now. But now they come out.
Same
and again,
with the
everything is so tanky here, especially with the Guardian Shield as well. But GuMiho now fighting with the SCVs, trying to get something done here. More Widowmines coming into the mix. Let's see how those shots are. They don't even actually go off.
This is the power of upgrades. I mean, he can wipe this out at this point. He lost 21 SCVs, every SCV on the 3rd base, while we see Deer going up to 4 bases. He's even doing economic damage to the natural at this point.
Yeah, man. 71 to 38 SCVs. Or workers, I should say, at this moment in time. And I feel like all Deer has to do is transition back into Colossi, get some Archons in your mix as well. Off of 8 gases, you're going to just be able to make a gigantic Protoss Death Ball. And I feel like a good, solid counterattack here, once again, should be able to end this game. Let's see what GuMiho can do to stop it at this point.
Well, he needs Ghosts more than anything else for this kind of composition. I mean, it's going to do so well against Zealots, Immortals, and Archons. Pretty much everything that's being made for this army. But obviously, Deer kind of manipulated GuMiho in a way that he would only make Vikings against the composition he thought he was going to be fighting, which is Colossi. Horribly mistaken. A little bit of a mistake from GuMiho not scouting just vigilantly enough.
Nice hold position over here. 3 Immortals and some Archons in the front. We'll do quick work of all those supply depots. He breaks down the wall. GuMiho's looking for an opening here, trying to get a concave around his buildings, but honestly, that 2nd orbital command is going to make his units bunch up into a time warp. He's got to be really careful here. Deer being super patient with this one, just getting some damage on that orbital, but he's got to be careful. That's a lot of bio once again.
It's a very awkward position to fight in. I'm wondering if he should just go around the bottom way and like work his way up or something. SimCity isn't too bad with 2 command centers there. It looks like he's going to, no, not even going to commit to the south just yet.
Yeah, Deer is being ultra patient, and another time warp comes down, and the Colossi from the bottom as well here. He's got 3 Colossi at this moment, only 1 in the fight right now. Another warp and a Zealots from the back here. Will it be enough? Those Immortals are doing a lot of damage, and now that the Colossi are in the mix without any Vikings to counter them, we're getting a ton of damage onto this Terran army, and the supply difference is beginning to show it. GG.
Completely outclassed Valdez.
That was a sick game by Deer.
That was a sick stomping. He knew exactly what to expect from GuMiho from start to finish, and he crushed his soul, man. It could not be more one-sided.
I think Deer, after last night, he's like, F this. I am practicing all day long. I am not getting kicked out of both Star